So today I wanted to talk about living your best life while achieving your financial goals. And the reason that I thought this might be a good topic is because I feel like sometimes people think that you can't be enjoying life while you're working on really big financial goals. And yes, it's definitely true that in order to meet financial goals, you do have to make some sacrifices. For most of us, it would be difficult to travel the world while staying out of debt, saving for emergencies, and planning for retirement. But just because we can't do everything we want whenever we want does not mean we can't enjoy life while setting and achieving our financial goals. No matter where you're at financially, there's always going to be someone who has more. So it's important not to compare what others are doing or what others appear to have to what we're doing or what we have, and to let that take away from what we're enjoying and what we can continue to enjoy while working on these goals. Just because someone's driving a nicer car or has a better house or goes on these amazing vacations does not necessarily mean that they're living their best life. Maybe they're doing great and they can afford those things, but often there's people that live this type of lifestyle, but they're struggling with debt because they're living way beyond their means. So when you're able to live within your means and enjoy things that you can actually afford, that's going to give you so much more of a satisfying life than always trying to reach for that next level that's above where you're currently at. And I'm not saying that you should not reach for more, but don't try to live that way until you're actually there. So one thing you can try to do to help you with living this great life while you are also working on your goals, on your long-term goals, is to establish goals that help you meet your current and your future needs. So consider the life that you'd like to live now as you're setting up your financial goals. You obviously will need to make some decisions on where you can cut back in order to achieve the goals that you're working on, but you want to make sure that you allow yourself some freedom to spend money today on the things that you enjoy in life. There needs to be balance, of course, but you get to decide what you're willing to give up and what you're not willing to give up. The one thing with setting goals is that you don't want to set them so high that you make it impossible to have any enjoyment in your daily life now. Because not only are you taking away any freedom in doing what you want now, but you're also setting goals that maybe aren't even attainable, and then that's just going to cause stress, and sometimes that can even cause you to just give up on the goals. So you want to make sure that you're setting goals that maybe might be a little bit of a reach, but that still allow you some flexibility in doing what you enjoy doing in your life now, not only in the future. It's important to save money for things and prepare for your future, of course, but you don't want to completely take away your enjoyment for now just so that you can have joy in the future. So say, for example, you'd like to be saving 15% of your income for retirement. That's just kind of like a number that, I've heard over the course of time through different financial things that I've read or whatever, and they say, oh, you should be saving 15% of your retirement. So yes, that's a great goal to set. But if today trying to save 15% of your retirement, 15% of your income for your retirement, if that means to you, if you were to do that right now, that would mean you'd have to make extreme sacrifices, then maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you want to try and find a middle ground instead. Maybe you can do half of that and then increase your contributions by 1% each year until you hit your 15% goal. There's nothing wrong with setting a goal a little bit smaller to make it attainable and then build on it from there over time. So really look at the goals that you're setting for yourself and make sure they're realistic and that they allow some room for you to continue to live today and not have to just devote every waking moment and every dollar to those goals. One thing that I found really helpful was to consider setting up like a predetermined allocation when you come upon extra money. Like sometimes you might come across extra money in your budget. Maybe you got a bonus at work or a larger tax refund than you expected, or maybe something you budgeted for came in less than you expected. So it can be really helpful to have a predetermined allocation on what you want to do with that found money. And when you do this, it can help alleviate stress that might come up in trying to determine how this money should be used. Because I know whenever I'd find like a little bit of extra money in the budget, I would always feel like a little bit anxious, worrying if I was putting it to the right place. Like, should I put this to our emergency fund, or should I put this aside so we can like order out one night, or should I put this to vacation? And every time there was a little bit of extra money that could be put to something else, I would worry about if I was putting it to the right place. So by setting up like a predetermined allocation on how money would be distributed, anything extra that came up, it's really helped me with that. So maybe that might be something that's helpful to you. So like, for example, say whenever you have some extra funds that are found, maybe you put 65% of whatever that dollar amount is to financial goals. Maybe that could be paying down debt, emergency savings, retirement savings. If you choose, you can even further allocate that 65 and be more specific, like, okay, 40% is going to go to debt, 15% is going to go to emergency, 10% is going to go to retirement. The more specific you are on where you want that money to go, the less you need to think about it. And then maybe you say, okay, I'm going to put 10% to a miscellaneous savings to cover like those random things that always come up. And then maybe the remaining 25% can go into a fund just to be used for fun, maybe for a day trip, dinner out, whatever you'd like to do with the money. This breakdown is obviously just a completely random example of how you might divide it up. But the point is more about balancing out how to allocate any extra funds you come across so that you can meet goals, and then also to enjoy things in your current life. So maybe you might not want to say, like, every time I have some extra money, I'm going to put it all to debt or all to retirement. You know, maybe you want to say, hey, I found this extra money, or hey, we did really good and we came in under budget, so we're going to use a little bit of that to go out to dinner this week. Or, you know, it's not just all about achieving financial goals. It's about splitting it up so that you can feel good and say, well, yeah, we went out to dinner, but we also put a big chunk of this money towards retirement or towards our emergency fund or getting out of debt or whatever else you're working on. And I apply this to any amount of money. If it's $10, if it's, you know, $100, whatever extra money comes across in the budget, I just apply not this percentage, this, like I said, this was just an example, but I came up with a percentage to different categories that really works for me, and we kind of thought about it. And of course you can change it over time if your priorities change, but it's just nice to know, like, anytime extra money comes up, it's going here, 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 and I don't have to worry, am I doing it the right way? It's already been decided. And I feel like, you know, we get a little bit for maybe some fun stuff, and then more of those dollars go towards goals. Another way to make sure you're living your best life while achieving your financial goals is to really try to make sure that you are spending your money on things that you really value. You can really make a big difference in your life when you take time to consider what it is that you really value, and then cut back spending in other areas that are not as important to you. Like I said before, and as you know, most of us cannot afford to have everything. So taking a look at where your money is going can really help you to see if you're spending on the right things. Take some time to really think about what is most important to you in your life, and then take a look at your expenses and see what costs maybe you might not need to continue having, or maybe you can cut back on because those things don't really align with what is most valuable to you. Maybe you're spending more on takeout food than you would like, or maybe you have a car that's a bit more luxurious than what you really care about. When you know what's really important to you, often you can find some areas to cut back on so that you can put more money into what is most important to you. And just by doing that, by making sure you're allocating your money to what's most important to you, can really give you a boost in like your daily joy that the joy that you're getting out of each day. Another tip is to find things that you enjoy that don't cost a lot of money. So there's often many things you can do to get a lot of fun in your day that don't really cost a lot of money, or maybe that just cost minimal money. Obviously, there's going to be things that we enjoy that are going to cost money, but there definitely can be things that you can fill in the gaps with that are like low cost activities. And then that way you can have more money available for the things that you love to do that might cost more. And plus, it's just really fun to find things that you can have a lot of fun with without spending money on them, because it just makes you feel like you made like a little, had like a little accomplishment or something, like, oh wow, this thing is really cool and it doesn't cost anything to do. But there's definitely things that we can enjoy that we forget to take advantage of. I think sometimes we think we always have to pay to go do an activity, or, you know, pay to go see entertainment, or I don't know. There's, you know, sometimes a lot of times we just think that we have to pay to go do things that are fun, or pay to participate in something. But something just as simple as going for a walk at a local park, or maybe finding a park that you've never been to before, or playing a board game, or doing a puzzle, or reading a book, going outside, looking at different flowers that might be growing in your yard, taking a walk through the neighborhood. There's just so many things that we can do that are fun and relaxing and that really don't cost anything. Even like volunteering, like maybe you want to volunteer your time with an organization that helps a cause that's really important to you. If you get creative, you can often find many things that you can get a lot of joy out of that will not use a lot of your financial resources. I know I also find a lot of free local events too, like on our local Facebook pages, and those can be really fun too. You know, maybe there's just like a little craft fair, or sometimes they'll have like a little music festival or whatever. There's lots of different free things that you can do to go have fun that don't have to cost a lot of money, and then that can help you save what resources you do have to put towards maybe some of the activities that you like to do that do cost more money. But most importantly, you really want to try and choose balance and set realistic goals. Of course, you don't want to be too lax on your financial goals, because that's going to take some of the joy out of your life also. If you have goals that are set too low, you're always going to kind of have that feeling in the back of your mind that you know you should be doing more for your long-term goals, and you might have a little bit of guilt when you're spending money on things that you're enjoying today, knowing that you really could be and should be putting more aside for the long term. But at the same time, if you set your goals too high, then they'll be unattainable, and it's going to put too much pressure on your daily life and not allow you to have freedom to enjoy your days now. So it's really important to try to set goals that are a little bit out of reach, but that still allow you to have some money available to live an enjoyable life now and not just live for the future. And it takes some time to figure out what the right balance is. So don't avoid setting the goals or coming up with a plan just because you're not sure what the correct balance is. Just start with where you're at now and give something a try and see how it works for you. You can always make adjustments until you find the right balance. You don't have to know exactly how to do it when you start, but just starting will give you a frame of reference for if you feel like you should put a little bit more towards your financial goals, or if you feel like you need to pull back a little bit because you're stretching yourself too thin. It just kind of takes some time to try things out and make adjustments and see what works best for you. But it's really important to try and balance enjoying your life today and saving up so you can enjoy your life in the future. So that's it for today's topic. I hope you got something out of this. I hope that you all have a great balance of your current and future financial goals. So don't forget, you can email me with any questions or suggestions at lolasfrugallife@gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at lolasfrugallife. You can find my blog post for each episode on my website at lolasfrugallife.com. You can also join our private listeners group at facebook.com/groups/lolasfrugallife. If you enjoy the show, please make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen from. And I would love it if you would screenshot the show and tag me on Instagram. Also, if you could take a couple of seconds to rate and review the podcast, that would be really helpful to me. Those ratings and reviews, especially on Apple Podcasts, is what boosts the show in searches, so that when other listeners are looking to find something like this, my show will come up in the search results. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, that would be really, really appreciated. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a really awesome day.